Hello, dear friends. Here we are, Cardiac Radio, with our SSVA team, the Spirit side of Virginia, with you here today. It's our online meeting, and you're welcome to join us as we are preparing a special moment to clarify many questions, to reorganize feelings, and to recalibrate our spiritual vibrations, right? It's very important that you know if you are an adult and you have kids. If you go to our Facebook page, the Spiritist Society of Virginia, right now, Carol Correa and Daisy Gallen are coordinating online Spiritist meetings for the children. You just need to go to the Spiritist Society of Virginia's Facebook page, just type in Spiritist Society of Virginia and go there to watch the online program, okay? So for us, we're welcoming you now here at Cardiac Radio. We have a special meeting with a special guest whom you know already, Brian Foster. He is a host at Cardiac Radio, and he's here with us to share information that he has recently been in touch with that pertains to the Spiritist understanding of the current moment, the pandemic. We're trying to make sense of it, and you're welcome to join us. Right now, I'm going to ask our dear Paloma to join us in reading the initial message. Thank you, Paloma.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. We're going to start with a message from the book Living Spring, psychographed by Chico Xavier, by our dear Emmanuel. Chapter 6, titled, Accept the Correction. It is true that no disciple seems pleasant at the time. It seems painful. Later on, however, it produces the peaceable fruit of righteousness for those who have been trained by it. Paul. The soil is lacerated and torn under the pressure of the plow. However, it is not long until beautiful flowers and delicious fruit burst forth from its straightened furrows. When pruned, the tree loses a lot of sap, becoming undernourished and ugly. However, in just a few weeks, it acquires new robustness, manifesting beauty and abundance. The humble water leaves the comfort of the spring, undergoes the demands of movement, reaches the great river, and then shares in the grandeur of the sea. What occurs in the simple sphere of nature also occurs in the complex realm of the soul. A correction is always hard, unpleasant, and bitter. But for those who accept its instruction, it always results in the blessed fruits of experience, knowledge, understanding, and righteousness. The soil, the tree, and the water must bear correction because they have no choice in the matter, but the human being, the champion of intelligence on the planet, is free to accept it and harbor in his or her heart. Hence, the problem of personal happiness will never be resolved by avoiding the reparative process. Heavenly correction is obvious in every corner of the world. However, very few accept its blessings because most of the time, such a gift does not come wrapped in ermine, and when raised to the lips, it does not taste like candy. It is clothed in thorns or mixed with gall under the guise of a curative and salutary medicine. Therefore, do not waste your precious opportunity for improvement. Toil and struggle, pain and obstacles are means of purification that we should make use of. So, dear friends, Emmanuel, wise as always, brings us the message that we need in these times, reminding us that there's a plan, there's something much greater and bigger coming our way. Right now, we're in the struggle, we're working through it, but if we accept it, there's a lot of greatness that will come from it. So let us be ready for the session with open hearts as Emmanuel is asking us to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paloma. So now we invite everyone to join us in a prayer, shall we, friends? Let us then feel the blessings of this moment. We know that nothing happens to us without God's consent. Dear Mother, Father God, we feel your loving and soothing vibrations. The waves of your healing love, enveloping us in great harmony. We would like to express our gratitude for the gift of life, life immortal, and the invitation to continuing progress. The opportunity of being reincarnated at this very time, a time that calls us for discipline, discipline of our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions, and the reharmonization of our families. But we would like to kindly ask you, for those who are in greater need than ourselves, may they receive a soothing, consoling visit, whether from the beyond or from the incarnate plane, reassuring them that they are not alone, that there is always a way out, that we have reasons to endure with grace, to be resilient in faithfulness. May our whole planet feel your presence more than we've ever felt before. And for the moment that we now share, we pray that our team that is working with the children at another channel, as much as ourselves, we fulfill our loving task. May everyone who is joining us feel your loving embrace. And for our guest speaker, Brian Foster, we wish that you maximize his inspiration to lead us in greater understanding and deep serenity at this moment. Feeling your guidance, protection, and being granted your permission, we would like to begin this moment of deep study and therapy for our souls. And so be it. So, dear friends, here we have Brian Foster with us. Okay, have I? Oops, coming. All right. Hi, Brian. Okay, hold on a second. I know. Okay, I can hear you. I
Can you
can
hear
hear
me? Great.
you now. How are you, Brian?
I am doing excellent. I hope everyone else is doing wonderful.
Yes.
And today I want to talk about where we are in the current pandemic.
Right.
And it's a terrible thing. It's a lot of a lot of sad stories, but but you also have a chance. You have a once in a lifetime chance to really understand how the spirit world moves the human race forward. Does anybody out there think that we will become a planet of regeneration without outside stimuli? That could be a bit of a hard lesson.
Yes.
And this is what I want to talk about today.
Wonderful. And I'll let you lead the way, Brian. We'll be here with you, enjoying the reflections.
Great.
Okay, hold on.
Excellent. So let's talk about where we're at and how we can look at this and learn how the spirit world moves us. I'm sure many people in this broadcast have read or heard of parts of Emmanuel's On the Way to the Light, which is a great book. And it talks about how the spirit world has moved humanity forward. And it's not, the spirit world doesn't move humanity forward by saying, oh, let's go forward, right? It moves them by great events, catastrophes, good things too, but it moves them by different stimuli. And what we are seeing right now is one of the stimuli that will move us forward. Now, how does this work? So what I want to talk about today is there's three different messages from spirits from different spiritual centers in Brazil during March of this year. And I think most of them are completely accurate for what I can see. Although I'm not quite sure. Sometimes I don't see the date, and I didn't see the medium's name. And then I'm going to also talk at the end one of the messages from Euripides during 2012. But it's really pertinent to our current circumstances. That was during another difficult time for Brazil. And what I want people to get from this is the messages that we are being given by spirits and how we should look at them and how we should interpret where we are right now. And one of the wonderful things about learning about Spiritism is you can see events like this on an entirely different perspective. And that is what is so important. It's as said in many times in different spiritist literature, is they always encourage us to go to the 10,000 foot level and look at the broad, the broad set in life, right? Don't look at our life as 1 week or 1 month. Look at that as one life amongst many and how we improve in life after life. So I summarize what these messages say, and you might not be able to see all of it, but it's basically the central themes is first about the pandemic. It's a call for people to rethink their priorities from materialism to spiritualism. People are getting put into their own house. They get to be with their families, with their loved ones. They get to see the importance of helping others, of that family unit, all of that. As the spirits have pointed out, no one's at war right now. No one's fighting, right? Because we're all concentrate on this pandemic. It's all another lesson. The other thing they say is exercise your own caution. Just, don't think because you're a spiritist or whatever, you can do whatever you want. No, be rational about it. Then now is the time to help others. Again, you say that, and it has been said that by Vanessa and others, is stay positive, spread the good word to all who will listen. And then another theme is we are immortal spirits for each of us, and collectively, this is one more lesson on our road to perfection. It's very important. This is how, I mean, this is one of the wonderful revelations of Spiritism, that we as a human are on a blueprint, a predetermined path of trials and tribulations according to our own free will. And this is one of the things that we all agreed on, those of us who were probably one of the levels of heaven. We got to be involved in our own plan for our life. And we thought, yes, this is something we need to go through, and this will help us in some manner. So keep with that attitude that we're here. Let's take what's thrown at us and make it productive for us. Then lastly, the theme is this is one small step for Earth to move to a planet of regeneration. We don't move to a planet of regeneration without some work, right? Work is not meant to be easy. Sometimes it's stressful. Sometimes it's hard. And we're not, we might think, well, I'm fine. I'm ready. Well, you may be ready, but we need to have a certain percentage of the collective humanity on Earth to be ready. And as we talk to people, we need to tell them that, these things happen. And I've gotten, emails and text messages from, people who are mainly, Christian evangelicals, why is God doing this? And I try to explain it's all part of the plan to have us rethink. Even in the books by Reverend G. Val Owens back in the early 1900s, the spirits were talking to him and saying that the culture of Earth right now has been just heading towards more and more materialism, but it's the big ship is starting to turn around the corner to us to be, to engage more with degrading the priority of materialism and becoming more spiritual. And this is one of the stimuli that will cause that. So let's get into the messages. So first, I want to go over the message from the Spirit Liel, and that was received on March 14th. And this is what he says. Friends, the disease that scares us is just a tool of conscience for the readjustment of being. Acknowledgement that we are spiritist in a continual path to do better and better. And that we should need to look at ourselves, like I said before, from the 10,000 foot level and see this is just one episode of one life. I'll carry on. In this way, any fear of the dark pictures of the moment in which we live sustains. Do your part with tranquility and trust in the highest that does not neglect the ways of man, even if man does not perceive his actions. Jesus remains ahead of the world and everything in his enlightened and merciful hands. Watch and pray. Now, I know we lost the audio for a couple minutes or about it. Hopefully that is back on and you could read without me. Can people hear the sound now? Can someone put a comment on the screen? I want to make sure. Oh. Vanessa? It looks like my microphone is working. I see it on. Oh, back. Okay. Excellent. It's probably time delayed when we went through. So we can't just show that one screen by itself. So what did Liel tell us? It told us some very important things. And it's interesting. First, I thought the comment that people are worried not so much for their loss of life, but for their loss of money and financials, right? Wealth is, of course, as usual, the spirit world knows exactly what we're thinking and what we're doing. And again, this is stimulus to tell us wealth. Yes, wealth is nice. It can be used for good purposes, but can you take it with you to the other side? And is it important to the health of your family? And it all goes on with his first sentence, which he says we need to relook at our readjustment of being. And again, at the end, he says, don't worry, Jesus remains ahead of the world and everything in his enlightened and merciful hands. So we're telling us that this is all part of the plan. I can reread this if people need me to. I'll read this message again. Friends, the disease that scares us is just a tool of conscience for the readjustment of being. In this way, any fear of the dark, pictures of the moment in which we live, must be replaced by the certainty of divine protection and by the understanding that the disease is collective proof for improving the relationship of humanity with the real values of life. Too much materialism, the cult of ego and money, are the face of those who at this moment panic, not with the loss of lives, but with the possibility of the economic and financial collapse. That will not come because it is not in the interest of the greater world to abruptly change human relations. So we're being told we're not going to have the complete devastation of our world economy. That we will be weaker, I'm sure, but it won't be a complete Great Depression. Fear is, but rather the awakening of consciousness towards new forms of work and production. Fear is a reflection of the materialistic and greedy minds that have become ill. Do not fear outbreaks or disease. Seek firstly vigilance and understanding over the means of contagion, and remember the serenity within yourself that soothes and sustains. Do your part with tranquility and trust in the highest that does not neglect the ways of man, even if man does not perceive his action. Jesus remains ahead of the world and everything in his enlightened and merciful hands. Watch and pray, Liel. So here's one message, and I'm sure it is amazingly spot on, right? It talks to our insecurities. It talks to what concerns us and what we see concerns other people, and yet it's telling us this is all part of the plan by the spirit world, led by our Savior Jesus Christ, and allowing us to become better people as a whole. And it also allows us as spiritists to reach out and maybe talk to people who've never actually wanted to talk to us before. I've known, usually when I have friends who are not spiritists, I'll say some things, and if they ask me another question or whatever, then I will talk to them some more. But if they don't, I know they're not interested. But what I'm seeing within this past month are people are more interested. I've actually had friends say, "Oh, where are those YouTube videos you have? I want to see them now," right? And they're actually coming and ask me more questions so I can talk to them with an open mind. And you know how hard it is to talk to other people when they're ready to listen. And most people, especially in the culture in the Western world today, many people are not ready to listen. But I think this pandemic, unfortunately, be as it may, has set the stage for people who you never thought before may be interested in, what the spirit world does, how it directs us, but they may be interested now. So let me go to the next slide. So this is the message from the Spirit Iraq, and it was received on March 12th. It was psychographed during the mediumistic meeting of the Spiritist Fraternity Sister Shalala, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm sure people can tell me. Centered by the medium Alexandra Miranda Lima. And this is what's nice thing about being in Rio at this particular moment. At least I get exposed to some of these messages, and it's making a lot of people feel much better. Okay. The powerful on earth are faced with something they cannot control. It is useless to impose physical barriers to something that goes unnoticed by the eyes. Suddenly, scientists and leaders from around the world are faced with a virus that they cannot explain, that they cannot stop. In the invisible eyes of the brothers of light, a spectacle of rare beauty is revealed, changing the world scene, reducing the disagreements among people, making men return to their homes in a habit long abandoned by modern society. So imagine you're in the spirit world and you're saying, okay, this pandemic will occur, and they will go through and they'll analyze the effects. This is what's so interesting, that the more you understand Spiritism and the more you dive deep into, and Spiritism reveals heaven, it reveals the organization of heaven, it reveals how things are analyzed, how things are controlled. And so you can imagine yourself as one of the teams looking at the earth and say, okay, let's see how this stimuli works. Is it really helping people? Can we measure it? Can we act on it? This gives you a kind of a human sense of what these spirits are doing to us and for us. And even says, this is a spectacle of rare beauty. Now, isn't that an interesting phrase? And what does that mean? It means that the habits that they're changing for us and how they're trying to make us think along a certain track, right? As I said before, a little bit more spiritually versus materialism must be actually working. If they're seeing that, then this is doing what it should be doing. And right, so all I'm saying on these messages is read what they're saying, and then a lot of these messages, as I'm going to do in the last one, can pertain to almost anything that happens to us that we as a collective humanity say, oh, that's horrible. But from these, we should learn to analyze the situation. It is exciting to actually be in the middle of a controlled experiment by the spirit world to move us a certain direction. You can actually see the reality of what the Spirit Emmanuel wrote in the book On the Way to the Light. Okay, let me continue. In addition to the fear of death, there is a wonderful experience of spiritual renewal. Mass discarnations are part of the current panorama of the terrestrial globe, whether due to biological causes or natural disasters. The time is ripe for change. This includes the way of thinking, the way man behaves towards others, towards nature, with everything that surrounds him. Everyone who is affected, directly or indirectly, by this virus is given the opportunity to change, be it the habits of life, the concepts about earthly existence, and even about the goodness and the prevalence of God's will over all things. Finally, the earth is traveling through a moment of changing its vibratory pattern to enter the age of regeneration. All spirits connected to your orb, whether incarnated or discarnated, are undergoing sufficient changes to adapt to the new vibrational pattern. Let us have faith and courage to face these challenging times, certain that everything happens for the progress and for the good of humanity. So let's take that one paragraph. Finally, the earth is traveling through the moment of changing its vibratory patterns. So many spiritists, I think the vast majority of them, say that we're starting to that situation of beginning of becoming a planet of regeneration. Most people date this around the year 2000. Emmanuel was born back here in Brazil around that time. We've been told by spirits that people like Buddha and Socrates are coming back. If you look at Divaldo Franco's Planetary Transition, which is a great book, you should read that. in his book, he talks about people from advanced planets coming here, becoming politicians, doctors, scientists, teachers, all there with the task of helping us as collective humanity become a planet of regeneration. Now, in the Spirit's book, Allan Kardec writes that, we'll really become that when the majority of spirits have more good than, immaturity. I don't want to say the word evil, have more good than being immature about things, primitive emotions. And so, that doesn't happen by itself. It happens by what we are looking at now. And it happens by the spirit world placing the right pieces onto the chessboard, right? We're the chessboard. They're going to place people who are advanced, who are going to be examples to us all to show us how to become a better world. The spirits told the Reverend G. Val Owen is that when the earth moves from a planet of atonement to a planet of regeneration and beyond, it's not just, oh, you're now a planet of regeneration, we're going to give you this new stamp on the, no. The collective vibration and harmony of us as an individual. Remember from the book No Solar, I believe it's from that, or it could be one of his other Andre Luis books, when he comes into Rio de Janeiro and he finds all these people kind of with black clouds around them. Well, that's each individual spiritual aura, right? Their vibration, their harmony. Well, what it's going to take is for each one of us to become less black cloud, right? And more spiritual as a collective. And that will affect not just ourselves as each individual, that will affect the whole planet. The entire earth shall start becoming this other, into this other vibration and harmony. That is the way this works. And of course, as we go from one planet to the next, the happy planet, etc., we will change more and more. It's just like a spirit. When a spirit rises in heaven and they get more education and they learn love and, all the good emotions, charity, fraternity, honesty. And as they become brighter and brighter, they're not saying, oh, you get to be brighter now. No, they reflect the love from the atmosphere around them, and they change their attributes. They change their physical attributes. They become less matter and more energy. And the same thing will happen to the earth, and all of us will have a little bit different distribution of matter and energy and our vibrations. So again, he's telling us all of this. Let me go to the next message. So this is the other one. This is quite a long one. So this is from the Spirit Francisco de Menzies Diaz de Cruz. And this was received on March 21st. And this was by the medium Alexandria Pierre of the Spiritist Council of the State of Rio de Janeiro. And again, this is, I believe it's very pertinent. I hope people are interested in this. This is really showing how close we are to the spirit world. Just my own story real quickly before I get into the important stuff. Before I became a spiritist, I believed in God, but I always thought, we're on this, planet, we're far away from everything. Does anybody really care about us? And then once you study spiritism and then you see the messages from spirits helping to comfort us, you see how involved they are in our life, how everything involved. And Allan Kardec's, in the Spirit's book and the Gospel According to Spiritism, and also in the Medium's book, where he says you are more inspired, every day in every way than you could ever believe, by spirits helping you get to the right path. And this is another point, another data point for all of us to understand how close they are to us and how they see our plight. And you have to think of us as a parent sometimes sees a child, right? You would love to make life easy for your child, but your child must go through some hard lessons, otherwise they won't learn. And the same thing's happening to us. You always love your child, and you hope they survive these things, mentally and stay strong, but that's necessary. Let's read the message. This is welcome. Every transformation process brings its pains. Today, humanity is facing yet another period of transformation. The elements that make up the planetary system, including the spirit world, are in constant activity due to the pandemic that is taking place. We know the consequences of the transformation go beyond the physical, although the carnal vehicle is the most weakened, meaning our body. Minds and paraspirits are also involved in these factors. We need more than ever to look at man in a broader way, not forgetting that we are more than the physical body. The mind, contained within each individual on earth, with their past of different experiences, keeps different ways of facing problems and situation. So he's telling us that this is not just affecting our physical mind, right? But it's also affecting our perispirit, how we look at our things, and affecting our spirit brain. Just to reiterate for people, we are composed of three objects, right? We have the spirit, the perispirit, which connects to our spirit, and then the perispirit kind of covers us. Kind of the way to visualize that is an invisible diving suit that connects like to every cell we have in our body. And when we die and the spirits cut that perispirit cord, that's actually when the body decomposes. And these are things you can all find out by reading information on spiritists, and the Henri Louis series of books will tell you a lot of these things. So the transformation goes beyond the physical, right? So it goes beyond that, because we are, right? When we pass over, we are who we were, but hopefully we are improved from what we were when we incarnated to begin with. All we can take is our improved personality and character, because that really is what we are in the spirit world. We are a personality. In fact, you read that a lot of times in spiritual literature. They don't say, "Oh, Joe." They say, "Oh, what a personality." That personality. You read that; it's kind of a key word, and that's really because that explains us. Because you can't really say when you talk about a spirit like, "Oh, there's the left-handed spirit," or "There's the spirit with blue eyes," or whatever, because the spirit can look how one wants to. So you're really talking about personality. So I'll keep reading. In fact, many suffer more emotionally than from viral contamination. Some already preconceptions about widespread forms of contagion and determine a frightening method for their end on earth. There's a lot of fear out there, which we've said before. Others make farewell plans in an attitude of desperation, counting the days to the end. So people are worried that, what's going to happen to me? And this is where you can lend a helping hand to people. Now, here's the call that we should all heed. I'll read. We need to deliver care. Start by caring about yourself and each other with your needs, and face the reasons of despair within you, silencing fears and attitudes of imbalance. Once you are comfortable, extend the help to the other with effective words of guidance, comfort, and hope, nourishing these spirits as the tools of help. It is the spiritist today, I'm talking to everyone out there, with that expanded awareness that we speak with the holistic view of being that will mitigate the sources. Now, notice he said the view of being, as with the previous spirit said, readjust the being of consciousness. The origin of fears and thoughts of last days, the anguishes of catastrophic destinies. Remember that great commitment unites us. After all, we are all here present at this moment of events. Here, we are in constant work, meaning in the spirit world, we are in constant work, and soon we shall see the sun shining on our relieved hearts again, for the certainty that the evil is gone and the good has settled. The new man is not blind to the reality he must face, but he is equipped with courage, selflessness, and determination. Let us build the next day of transformation with our actions today. Welcome, Francisco de Menzies. So again, one more time, he's saying, face these things with courage and knowledge. And how do we do that? Well, we have faith in the Spiritist doctrine. And we don't have blind faith. It's over and over again, the spirits have told us, we don't want people to say, oh, I'm a spiritist because so-and-so, like because Brian told me to be, that's the way to be. No, each one of us needs to have our own faith built upon our own experiences and our own data points. To me, it was being exposed to things that are going to happen in the future that happened quite specifically. For others, it could be a vision. For others, it could be you've known that since you're a child, you've known the world and you've known the gods and the God has been watching over us and the spirits have been here. You've known that and felt that forever. For everyone, it could be different. But that is, from that part in your heart, make that your firm foundation. And once you get that, and then you can read about Spiritism, about how we all are watched, guided by our individual mentors, by other spirits, and that whatever plan there is, although we may not agree with it at the time, is actually good for us. The spirit world, God, Jesus, does not punish us. He educates us individually and collectively. Okay, let me go on to, now this is a message that I thought is very pertinent, and it shows you the timelessness of how this process works and how we should look at the process. So once we have our next pandemic, there will always be something next or some other catastrophe. Hopefully this will fortify you mentally to know how to look at what is happening and how to analyze not only your own reactions, but the reactions of your friends, neighbors, and family, and the culture at the same time. We've been told in other messages that we need to get this information out through the media any way we can, as far as stay calm, stay positive, don't panic, help each other. And that's something we should all try to do. Okay, and this is from the medium Sueli, which I think a lot of people know. And this was, again, received on June 24th, 2012 from Euripides. And actually, he was... the other spirits that I named, I didn't know who they actually were in their last incarnation, but Euripides was the first president of a Spiritist college in Brazil. Okay, dear brothers, in the face of this crisis, now he's talking about Brazil in this case, but I think we can extend it into, in general, that befallen our people in the face of this wave of pessimism that is taking over Brazilians, in the face of the clashes that the country is going through, we are inviting all spiritists to engage in this campaign. There is an urgent need for faith, hope, and optimism to be reborn in the hearts. The wave of pessimism, discredit, and discouragement is so great that even those who are well-intentioned and aspiring to do something constructive and useful for the country at any level find themselves stunted in their purposes, stifled in their desires, hitting insurmountable barriers. And we've seen that all throughout what we're seeing right now. Same thing in the United States. You watch the news, you're not seeing positive messages from a lot of these newscasters. It's always, how many gotcha questions? It's all, how can we point out your mistakes? It's not, we're in this together, working together. It's really sad. And this is something that many of us just need to turn that off. And this is not about one person doing it right and one person doing it wrong. It's about all of us working together. I'll carry on. It is necessary to change the spiritual climate. It is imperative that the renewed breath of confidence and faith in the high destinies of our nation sweeps away the miasmas of discouragement after discouragement. Again, we're going through that too. It is necessary to open clearings and spaces for the light of hope to shine. Only through hope will we be able to regain the strength of our suffering and tired people. Spiritists must not join the ranks of discouragement. We must have unavoidable duty to transmit courage, instill courage, rekindle hopes, and awaken faith. Faith in our future, the certainty that we are destined for a noble mission in the people's concert, but that our hesitation, our neglect can delay our responsibility, our task. We are aware of all this and let ourselves be carried away by discouragement and the virus of unimaginable danger. I'll carry on. Discouragement and their companions, uncertainty and pessimism, go together and spread very subtly, weakening the individual, the groups, the community itself. They are like termites corroding structures in silence, not infrequently inflated by disheveled minds, by enemies of progress, by agents of chaos. This virus expands and spreads, contagiously defeating human beings before the fight. Given the picture of negative forces, any reactions become very difficult. Therefore, it is up to the spiritists to fight for the transformation of this general state. Again, we have all seen that. We have seen that when anyone talks about God or religion or prayer, I've seen sites where they're ridiculed and they're just thought of as inconsequential. And of course, that's our culture, right? Especially in the culture of the United States and Europe right now. Thank heavens, not so much in Brazil. But that is something we must, I think what we're being told now with this happening is, before I've been very passive about that. If I hear anything that, oh yeah, I can't speak anything about, God or the spirit world or how much we're loved. But I think I'm going to be more aggressive now. I'm not going to back down and talk about, that God is part of our lives. I'm not going to make myself persona non grata, right? I'll watch myself, and I'm not going to bother people. But I think this is a call for us to be more demonstrative of our faith, and thus be an example. You don't have to, we're not going to force. This is what's wonderful about being a spiritist. You don't force, like, if you don't believe in this doctrine, you're going to go to hell. No. If you don't believe in this doctrine, someday you may, some life you may. It's your choice. It's your free will. As spiritists, we have a tendency to be extremely passive about it. And, with good reason. It's more like saying, here's a book. I'll put this book on the table, and if you want to read from it, fine. If not, it's your free will. I believe, and I could be wrong, and I would like Vanessa and others to, chime in on this later on, but I believe we're being asked to be a bit more, I don't want to say aggressive, but focused in our energies of talking to people and showing people really why this is happening and what is the path to their own happiness. Because I don't know about anyone else out there, but as the more I study and learn about spiritism, the less stress I feel. And I'm not that stressed now. A lot of bad things are happening, but I understand it. And with understanding, your stress levels go way down. So now here's the important part. Let each center, each group, each meeting focus on this campaign. May they strive for a renewal of this dark psychosphere, and may people who are really suffering and overwhelmed by trials find in our house a climate of peace, optimism, and hope. That you take our words everywhere. Those who can do it, transmit it through the media. That's what we're doing now. We're trying. Thank heavens for Vanessa, who puts us on Kardec Radio, Facebook page. I'm on YouTube. I even have podcasts going on. Yes, everyone say, we're trying. We're trying our best, and that's what we have to do. It is these forces that impel the individual to work, to believe in himself, in his own value and ability. It is these forces that lead you to believe and fight for a better future. So here's the end. My brothers, the world is not a rudderless ship. We know that Jesus is at the helm. Again, the other medium said, Jesus is ahead of us, always, right? So wonderful to have someone like Jesus at the head of us and at the helm, and that we will not crash. Exactly. This world will not be destroyed. We're a campus. He's going to protect us. He's going to protect his students. He might have to be what we think is severe, what he thinks is being very kind, because after all, look, we're humans, and we're not that, we're a bit stubborn in our desire for our own personal luxuries and our own personal wants, are we not? So sometimes we need, a little push. Enough of doubts and uncertainties that only delay progress and hinder work. Let us be supportive, yes, with the pain of our neighbor. Let us do what we can for him. We have an undeniable duty to do so, especially by transmitting the clarification that the Spiritist doctrine provides, but also that solidarity exists in our ranks so that we can continue in the blessed work, united and confident in the preparation of the future of peace for all desired. And let us not forget that if Brazil is the heart of the world, it will only be the homeland of the gospel if this gospel is being felt and lived by each one of us. Let me explain that lessons for those who are not aware. Now, there's a book in Portuguese that has not been translated yet in English, which is, I think, Brazil, Heart of the World, Coração do Mundo. And what we are being told is Jesus in the spirit world selected Brazil even before Christopher Columbus, started, other people founded the New World, of course, but, officially kind of Western civilization kind of reacted to the New World. Even before that, the spirit world picked Brazil and America. And that was, they knew how the Catholic Church and the church and religion in Western civilization, European civilization, I should say, what track it was on. This is how far in advance they planned. So therefore, they planned that Brazil would be the heart of the Spiritist doctrine and United States, the mind. Now, what does the mind mean? Well, that financial help, spreading the word, anything like that, how to the scientific advancements, more and more to prove about, and already like people like Dr. Gary Schwartz are trying to prove spirits do exist, spirits do communicate with us. And so we all, the people here listening to here, are tasked and asked to help make the United States what it should be, and that is a partner with Brazil and helping spread the Spiritist doctrine. And between Brazil and the United States, then it shall spread much more efficiently throughout the world. Now, Kardec says that Spiritism will spread, I believe he said faster than Christianity spread, right? That took hundreds of years. Of course, now we have the internet and instant communication. So once we can get, and it takes time, everyone has been here, you've all been soldiers on the front line, and that front line is moving awfully slowly, right? Of course, we think in terms of weeks and months, but when it starts going, it's going to go. And that's what I've read, what I've understood, and what I pray happens. Of course, in Brazil, it was great people like Menendez de Menendez, and but it was really like Chico that started, that just really started spreading. I believe it's like over 5% of Brazilians are Spiritists now, which is a good considerable number, and that will grow over time. So I just want to end this, and I hope I didn't take up too much time, is that we are being given messages of hope, tranquility, and progress. And just to repeat once more, these are the exact times to talk about Spiritism to anyone who is seeking answers about what the world is going through. In fact, let me give you a little anecdote. I was given, someone sent me an email, and he's a Spiritist, but he has a lot of Christian friends. And he was wondering, he goes, but can you send me any Spiritist literature, but about why we're in this area, why we're in this pandemic, why we are where we are, but don't mention any conversations with spirits, because, they don't believe that you should talk to spirits. I said, oh, well, that's a hard one, because that's kind of what we're based on. But I said, look, why don't you just take these individual messages from spirits? We won't talk about the Spiritist doctrine per se to begin with, and just show them how, they're not demonic. They're not, they're not saying, to do these funny things. They're all words of comfort, because after all, the Bible is full of messages from angels and others of words of comfort. So that's what we went with. So you just never know how you approach the problem. And because as other messages, people think differently. And then people are open to different things. So anyway, I'll end it here. Our task is to give comfort and understanding to others. So I'll give this back to Vanessa. I hope this has helped.
Hi, Brian.
Yes, I hear you.
All right. So, as you bring up this conversation about the message on our task, I agree with you. Because as we were doing our Hail Christ study at 11, Hail Christ by Emmanuel calls us up for this. He says it, that we need to have the courage to share.
Right.
If we don't have this courage, and we actually had an exercise given to the listeners and to the viewers back then, a few days ago, saying, think about it. Are you truly convinced about it to the point that you're going to share? And this is it. You're not imposing. You're just saying, that's the way I feel life. That's the way I understand it. It's not a belief. It's just like, that's the way I see it. As you're saying, how can I separate it if everything is all together? Right?
We should be afraid to radiate that aura of peaceful spiritism within us to other people. Exactly what you said.
And I agree, Lau. Remember Chico Xavier, for example, and Eurípides Barçanufo. They came from a very small town at a time when not being Catholic was wrong.
Yes.
Right? Like that was really demonic.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And what did they do? Did they enforce anything? No, they didn't impose. They shared. But they had the courage to do it. And they didn't share like, if you want to listen. They lived and led their lives accordingly. And of course, they were misunderstood, sometimes persecuted. There was a time in which Professor Eurípides Barçanufo was asked not to leave his house. The good spirit said, don't leave, because there are people who want to kill you outside.
Right.
Yeah, there are people who go to that extreme because they feel threatened by it, right? They don't understand. We understand why they don't understand. But if we keep just to a small group and just to those who accept it easily and don't have the courage to share as is, how are we going to change it? How are we going to help?
And I think one of the things that I've seen from more people have been contacting me, is that great movie on Netflix, Kardec. And I would recommend that for people to watch. And of course, he was threatened, right? People threw rocks and jailed even. But I try to encourage people, go see that movie, right? Besides No Celestial City or Astral City, that has subtitles. But yeah, go see that movie. And we've been given a marvelous vehicle to get people interested in that. Thank heavens for the director.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, Brian, let me ask you this. Right now, because we have to do we have to be on a kind of a lockdown, how can we do this? Social media.
I think what I would do is people are doing it, but be more aggressive, share, become a member of other tangible Facebook groups that talk about spirituality. Don't look just for spiritist groups. Look for anything with spirituality. Share videos from you, and already you're sharing your videos to your spiritual journey, which now has like 7,000 people. And I let everything get on there, but your voices, you, Sergio, other people, Carol, they're all they're getting this. So look for other Facebook groups, join other Facebook groups, share these posts, get on YouTube. You have you have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. Go and share these YouTube channels with other people. You've got plenty of time. Do like one share every half hour. You got to follow the rules, right? You can't spam, but do that. And you may get 1 out of 100. Each grain of sand is going to make a difference.
I remember, Brian, when we started Cardiac Radio 9 years ago, it was just audio, a few people. Right. And 9 years later, we can see how many more people are being gathered. So I can attest, since we started in 2001, The English-speaking meetings in Baltimore to date, it has grown, and it's certain, but we need to do it with courage. I think the word now is courage. Be courageous and share, because we have a treasure that few people have at hand. The combination of it all, though it's universal, I agree, but the combination of it all, the framework is so unique. Why don't we share it, right?
Yes.
It's so good to hear from you. And thank you so much, Brian,
Oh,
for
my pleasure.
sharing these messages. These messages are really inspirational. Thank you for the time that you're making to share this with us. And whenever you have more, we'll be happy here at the Spirit Side of Virginia to have you at this special session. Though you have the program at Cardiac Radio, whenever you have more, we'd like you to come back here and share with us.
Well, Vanessa, I've always followed your orders, so you just tell me, right?
I wish. I wish. We're working in collaboration, so we'll be in touch with you, Brian. Now we invite you and everybody to join us. I'll bring here Paloma and Luciana to join us in this final moment before we march towards the virtual, the online passes, and also the prayer. So, Paloma, would you like to share a thought or two about everything Brian presented and discuss some highlights you wanna bring to the public, to the viewers?
I think the highlight, the big highlight is both Brian and Vanessa were talking about is these opportunities to share hope when people really are right now permeable. They're home, they're thinking, they are suffering, there are changes happening, and you can see people are listening. I mean, we can see in our families, right? A message, instead of going into the discussion of whatever's happening, you can be like, but guys, let us think of what's coming ahead of us, what the planet of regeneration is going to look like. And they might be like, oh, Paloma, planet of regeneration, but now they're curious and they want to learn more, right? So I agree, and I really feel like this is the right time for it. So thank you, Brian, for bringing it more clear to us. It was already in our heads, but you brought it and you said it out loud, and it makes sense. It really does.
It does. It does. Thank you, Paloma. And Luciana, would you like to complement with a highlight about what we've been discussing? Oh, hold on. Sorry. I apologize. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so it's very interesting that all of us mentioned that how people are actually coming to us to get more explanation what's going on. So it's interesting to see that little seed that was planted in our heart years and years ago. Now people come to us to see, but what do you think? How can you be so calm with all the chaos that is going around? Share with me. So now people are coming in and really like share the good pill that you're taking, because it's not normal the way you were doing, like people are afraid, they're losing a lot of money, people are getting sick and other stuff. How can you live like this, like hopeful? And it's interesting to see, like, really feel the connection with God and trust that everything was planned and we're just going through a phase, right? Everything's going to pass. But it's very interesting that we all have the same feelings, né? To share more, to do more, be more active, and share all this treasure that we have received. But very interesting that people are coming and ask, share with me, how can you live like this? So it's good. Like, it's almost feel like we graduated. People are looking for us for advice and share the good news, and also motivate us to share even more what we know and be more active and help much more people that are in greater need now.
Mhm.
That's the feeling.
Thank you, Luciana. Thank you so much, Brian, again for sharing so much with us and organizing this for us, the rationale of it all. I think the beauty of Spiritism is certainly the use of our reasoning, because we can feel our faith, but when we reason it, it's so solid, right? Any other final comment, Brian, before we march to the virtual passes?
No, I just thank you for everybody on this program. You're all doing wonderful work, and just continue on. God bless all of you.
Thank you so much. So now, friends, we invite you all to join us in a moment of passes. For you who are here and are not acquainted with it, I'm going to share with you. The passes is energy transmission. In the book Mechanisms of Mediumship, André Luiz through Chico Xavier explains to us that the loving spirits can transmit it to us, through our spiritual body, bathing our whole bloodstream and benefiting also the physical body. At Kardec Radio many years ago, we've done a series of virtual passes. You can go there and rescue it. We have on our YouTube channel as well, SoundCloud, YouTube channel. And right now we're going to lead it in our way here. So if you're home, wherever you are, take your time now. We're going to put a little bit of background music and feel, because the good spirits, they're visiting us in our homes. So this is time for you to open up and receive it. Don't be afraid, because there's nothing scary. There's only the good. But what we need to do is to open up and allow them to operate upon us. Healing happens everywhere on this planet. And you can also give a boost to your immune system by being calibrated at this time. So I would like you to kindly join us in this moment. I'm going to play here the message for us. Actually, the music. I'm going to play the music for us so we can kindly, gently march towards it. And we're using the Ave Maria because we know that Mother Mary has specific works in our planet, helping everyone, especially at this time. She's the mother of all of us. So that's why we're playing the Ave Maria. Let us then, if possible, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Breathe in deeply. Breathe in the soothing vibrations that are now going to be showered upon us all and our families. Let us visualize hands of light showering us with healthy molecules that will substitute the unhealthy ones. Let us visualize that this shower of healing light envelops our minds with hope, joy, faith in God. Let us tell ourselves within our hearts, I trust God. I trust God. And repeat it. I know that God loves me deeply. I know that God knows what I need in my family and my friends, my co-workers, our planet. Let us breathe in and out this renewed oxygen that is now being permeated in our lungs, distributing new health. And as we breathe out, we release the toxins of the mind and the bodies that we no longer need. Let us help the spirit doctors who are operating upon us now by also visualizing a beautiful bouquet of healing flowers. Let us breathe in the scent of healing, balancing us, mind and bodies. Let us visualize that the petals of the flowers emanate healing light, enveloping us, our loved ones, our homes, our planet. Now the spirit doctors are asking us to choose a flower and dedicate it to someone whom we need to reconcile with. Let us offer to that person and say, I forgive you, please forgive me. I forgive you, please forgive me. I forgive you, please forgive me. And visualize that the rays of that healing light envelop us completely, ridding ourselves of unneeded feelings, thoughts. Breathing in deeply and out slowly. We visualize now in front of us the doctor of all doctors, our Master Jesus, with his loving and kind smile. He never imposes himself. In his sweet presence, he brings the firmness of his faith in God and opens his arms to embrace each one of us. Let us cherish this healing embrace and say, dear Master, we trust in God. We trust in you too. May we stay strong with you, collaborating with you at this most important hour. May we not sleep and stay awake in our consciousness, trusting that this is for the better, for our own collective march towards regeneration. And now, as we express our gratitude, we invite our dear Luciana to lead us into the final prayer.
Dear Mother, Father, thank you so much for bringing all of us together tonight in order to receive all this beautiful information in which comfort our hearts and make us more strong. Thank you so much for showing us even more that we think that we're being cared for. We know that daily we receive a brand new day showing us that you're caring, supporting us throughout this life. But those messages really bring us more courage, more strength to continue our journey. So we say thank you once again for bringing us this beauty information. And we want to pray for all of those that are working in the front lines of this crisis on our planet. We pray for all of them so they are healthy and find courage inside of themselves to continue doing this beautiful work that it needs to be done. We will also want to pray for everyone that are sick and are in need of spiritual treatment and physical treatment. May they all receive what they need. And we also pray, dear mentors, that you keep guiding us so that we are courageous and make the part of that it was meant for us to do throughout this transitory time on the planet. May we all feel this connection with you. And may we all work together in your love in order to rescue everything that needs to be rescued. Anyway, with your permission, dear mentors of this house, the SSVA, Kardec Radio, we ask the permission to close this beautiful meeting of tonight, and so be it.
So thank you, friends, for being here. Thank you also, Brian. Thank you, Luciana and Paloma. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone who has been with us here watching. And if you're watching this on demand, feel also the embrace of all of us. And for those who have questions, and if you need spiritual assistance, please write to us either at kardecradio@gmail.com or info@ssvirginia.org. We'll be happy to assist you. And if we need to talk to you in a video call or a phone call, we'll make arrangements. This is time for us to really share the best of us. Thank you, friends.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you.